Sounds like you've never tried a Zyn. Okay, jerk. Just kidding, you're not a jerk. Today, I'm reading all of our YouTube comments, and I'm gonna give my live reactions to some of the most funny ones, some of the more serious ones, and some of the downright savage ones, like, have I ever tried a Zyn? Stick around to the end to find out the answer. At the King of the World 456 says, why I think this was an ad. In public health, we play that fine line of education and awareness. On one hand, we need to educate the public, you all, about some of the dangers that these products hold. Like Zyn, for example, is a very dangerous product. It contains nicotine, it's bad for brain development, and it has a lot of other harms to it as well. On the other hand, a lot of people don't know about this product yet, and we have to ride that fine line between not promoting this product while at the same time showing people the harms and the dangers of this. Because we need to understand, hey, this is a problem and this is what this problem looks like. Okay, our next comment is from @ShaneTuma3845, who says, ingesting any smoke into your lungs is dangerous. That's exactly right. Any form of smoke into your lungs is dangerous and can be harmful. And in fact, we are especially worried with wildfire smoke. Even the other day, locally here, we had a local fire. And if you went outside, you could smell the smoke. And that's not good for your lungs. And you can even look at the AQI index. AQI is a measure of the average air quality in your area. And you'll see there's certain different levels. When you're in this higher zone, your lungs are at higher risk. At Isaiah Walker says, and older generations were practically born with cigarettes in their mouth. The cycle continues. So this one hits a little bit hard because it is mostly true in that older generations, cigarette smoking specifically, was very prevalent. When we look at the data, cigarette smoking was at its highest ever. Why? Well, because these tobacco companies didn't have a lot of regulations, they were promoting a lot of these products, and they normalized smoking. And it took many years for public health to run campaigns, activism, and raise awareness and education to the public about the dangers of these tobacco products. And we're still doing the great work. How? We do campaigns like this at DCSmokeFree. We raise awareness, we provide education, and we help people with quitting or tobacco cessation. At White Miller, DT6ZP says, a cart and a vape don't often look the same. Just use your brain, and anyway, just teach your kids right, then no problems. Oh, at Wyatt Miller, DT6ZP, ZP. If only that were true, right? If only we could teach our kids about the dangers of these products, and then they wouldn't buy them. But we know that doesn't happen, right? We work hard to educate parents about the risks, about the dangers. We just launched a 30-day series on how to have that middle school vape talk, a time when children are most likely to become exposed to these products. And we gave lots of conversation starters and tips and advice on how to start that conversation early. But for someone who has never seen these products, right? Imagine a 6th grader or 7th grader who's never seen a THC vape or even a nicotine vape pen, then it's going to be very difficult to know the difference between one and the other. And so it's important that as public health educators, as medical providers who work in the field, to let folks know that there is a difference between the two products and they aren't the same. At MopCity3, people like to use the term addiction to fearmonger people when the science shows that tar and other additives added to nicotine products are the real carcinogens, not the nicotine itself. I actually absolutely love comments like this because it's a great time to have a conversation and learn more about what's actually in these things. We've created these programs that help people to quit hard drugs, use medication-assisted therapy, and many people have been very successful at quitting all these hard drugs, but the one drug they've never been able to quit, nicotine. I think that goes to show just how addictive this stuff truly can be. So we like to use the term addiction not as a way to scare people, but a way to show people this stuff is very addictive. While Mop City 3 does say that science shows that tar and other additives are the real carcinogens, which is true, right? We know that tar and other additives in cigarettes do cause cancer. However, nicotine itself can also play a role too, not necessarily with the cancer causing, but with the addiction piece. And once you're addicted to these substances, there's a lot of other chemicals within vapes and even nicotine pouches that we still don't know about yet. Things like propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, these long-term use effects are not well studied. And while we don't know a lot now, it could be possible that in the future, these things could cause cancer or other harmful side effects. The research is still unclear, and as we continue to use these things moving forward and do more research, we'll learn more. At CobrabTC says, how about worry about alcohol first, since it's far worse for your health than vaping? Both are legal. So this is something I think known as the straw man argument. When you say, well, this is worse than this, so why are you focusing on this thing? When the real answer is that they're both harmful for our health, and we should focus on both equally. Specifically, I work on tobacco prevention because that's my area of expertise. And so we're working on all of these problems collectively and together. And this idea that alcohol is worse than vaping, they both carry harms and health consequences, especially when used in the long term. And your health outcomes from using tobacco or even alcohol come from your dose and the frequency at which you use them. So if you consume a lot of cigarettes in a very frequent time over a very long duration, your risk category for health harms is going to be much higher than someone who uses one cigarette once a year. And I think we should also address the comment that says both are legal. Yeah, they are both legal. But legal doesn't mean safe. There's a lot of things that are legal out there. And in fact, soon we're going to do a whole episode on gas station drugs. And there's a lot of legal drugs out there that are still harmful for your health. Heck, cyanide is legal, but if you have too much of that, it's going to kill you as well. So our job in public health is to inform the public about these potentially harmful substances, what the long-term outcomes are, and to help you, the public, make a more informed decision about your health. At Ankush Tasildar999 says, sounds like you've never tried a Zyn. Okay, jerk. Just kidding, you're not a jerk. We like you. I appreciate you doing the comment. That was a little bit funny. Yeah, I have never tried a Zyn. I talk to people about Zyns. Zyns are one of the #1 best-selling products in the nicotine pouch brand. In fact, there's been more cans of Zyn sold in the United States than there are people who live in the United States. Using the information that's available to me, I've chosen that that's not a substance I want to partake in or use because I can see the addiction building up and I can also understand what the possible harms to my health might be. So my choice is to not use these products. At Joshmo Borek, I think I had a conversation with someone and I did tell them this, but they just said they don't care. I don't get why people don't want help with some things. What a great, wholesome question, actually. Sometimes we can have these conversations and the person at the other end might not be super receptive, and that's okay. Our job as public health folks isn't to convince everyone to not do something. That's not my job. My job is to inform people about the health detriments, about the outcomes, to inform them about these substances. And then they can make their own choices for their own health. So having that conversation is an amazing first step in tobacco prevention, in alcohol prevention, and whatever type of prevention you want to do. Because even if they weren't receptive to that comment in that moment, it sticks with them. They are now better for that. They now have more education about these substances and can make a more informed decision about their health. So thank you for having that conversation. And even if you didn't feel an immediate benefit or gratitude for having that conversation might have saved a life. At Noble Pursuits said, wow, I didn't know they made them look like highlighters. I'm gonna get one, thanks. Yikes. Real talk for a minute. This is actually something that we do worry about. within public health prevention and media campaigns is that we want to raise concerns about these products without promoting them, right? And in fact, in one of our very first videos, we had many conversations about how do we show these products properly? How do we show a tobacco product to talk about it? Because it's great to have an example. You don't know what I'm talking about unless you can see it. But how can we do it in such a way that we're not actively becoming promotionalists or promoting these products for people to buy? And so it's this fine line that we play. And oftentimes what we come back to is it absolutely necessary to show this product? And also, can we make it look not as attractive? So for example, if this product has a lot of color, maybe in the edit, we actually desaturate it. So if you look back at some of our older videos, you'll find that a lot of these tobacco products are desaturated, so they're not as colorful as they might normally be. And that's done intentionally because we don't want to promote these products, but we do want to talk about them. We do want to provide education and inform our audience about these products. @TConsumer says, what worked for me was just come back alive and not high. This may be different for others, of course. Wonderful comment from @TConsumer. I think there's really, I'm trying to think of 3 main points to reply to this question. The 3 main points are gonna be, it's gonna be different for every situation, and we get that as public health. We get that. Sometimes we'll provide this talk, but if talking about a vape and your student is already full on using THC products and stuff, having that vape talk isn't going to be super effective, right? So that's the first thing, to realize that understanding the situation, where is the student at, and ask questions, and that's okay. 2 is that you're going to make the best decision for your situation. If you're a parent out there, maybe that is the best way because you know that kid better than anyone else. We get that these situations are dependent, right? We don't have all the factors, but you have a lot more information than we do. And 3rd is if this worked for you, great, right? This is a solution that worked for you. Super appreciate that. There's a couple of things I would add, which is we don't want to promote these products, which means we have a lot of parents out there who talk about their wild, crazy days at college or in high school, how they went out and partied and all this. We don't want to promote binge drinking. We don't want to promote marijuana use. We don't want to make these things really desirable because they're not desirable, right? If you're over the age of 21, if your brain's fully developed and you want to try these things, you legally can. That's allowed, right? In this country, you're allowed to do those things, and that's okay. We just want to get you through high school, really. Allow your brain the time to develop, so that way when you do come across these products, when you experiment or do try these, you're gonna be better equipped to handle with it, where you don't go into addiction, where you don't have a lot of health risks and consequences. And so those are some of the things that I would respond with. @Wow, James Jackson, David John says, wow, nice nicotine tips. Thanks. And finally, this one's a little bit, hits a little harder. This is another one from @TConsumer, commenting on a separate video, who says, I really disagree with this. Peer pressure is insane, and even if you say no one of my friends way back in the 4th grade was pressured into kicking an ant pile, and when he said, no, that's dumb, or ant, sorry, this is a complicated thing.
Keep it rolling.
This is not...
Read it.
Okay, so I feel this. So this is in response to one of our short videos about friends and peer pressure. And the idea behind this video was that good friends won't peer pressure you into doing something that's harmful for your health. @TConsumer is disagreeing with this. They're saying that some friends can be good friends, but may do dumb things. Which, I perhaps agree with. I think in that moment, a friend who is a quote-unquote good friend pressuring you to do something that's harmful to your health, that's not a good friend in that moment, right? That might be a not so good friend in that moment, a bad friend in that moment. I agree with you, is that sometimes friends can do dumb things. Doesn't make them a terrible friend, but it makes them a poor friend in that moment. I guess, and do you really want to be that friend that's pressuring other people? I think really what I want to get to is that really good friends are the friends who don't want to see others harm themselves. They don't want to see others put harmful substances in their body or pressure them into trying things that they're uncomfortable with. That's what a really good friend is. If you're a really good friend, you wouldn't just do those things. And so we want to be the best friends that we can be. Thanks for tuning in and for leaving your comments we'll do this, I don't know, next month, whenever we have enough comments to do this video, and we'll see you next time. Subscribe if you want, and we'll see you